So, I don't know what areas got you discouraged today, but I hope you'll apply this in your life. Many years ago, before I started Saddleback Church, I was in full-time evangelistic preaching. I was an evangelist, and I preached in over 100 crusades and revivals before I was 20 years old, mostly in very small churches. And I remember when I was about 17, I was preaching in a church in Northern California, in Vallejo, California. And I was there for a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday revival. Only the old people here will remember what those are. And I was preaching and nobody was making any decisions. It was a dead church. I mean, nobody wanted to sing, nobody wanted to listen, nobody wanted to bring friends, nobody was coming to Christ. There were nights I wanted to just stand up and say, folks, let's just admit it. The Holy Spirit isn't here. Let's go home. You know, God isn't here. Let's just go. But I kept preaching, and I remember on Sunday, after doing the Sunday morning message, I went into the pastor's little study, and he had a small shelf of books, and I'm kind of a bookaholic. I read a book a day, and I was looking at his books and fumbling through them and seeing what he'd read, and all of a sudden I found a record album. Anybody remember records? Okay, you're very old. Okay. I found a record, and it was called How to Double Your Sunday School Attendance in 1 Year by Jerry Falwell. Now, I wasn't even a pastor at the time. I was a kid, 17 years old. But I asked the guy, would you mind putting this on? What had happened before that was, after that morning service, I was so discouraged. I walked into that room, and I got down on my knees by myself. And I was there for about 30 minutes. And I said, Lord, I am so discouraged. I am so discouraged. And I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to fight this discouragement, whether I to resist it, whether I just go with the flow. Would you please tell me what to do with my discouragement? It was my first real battle with discouragement in ministry. Tell me what to do. And I got up and I started looking through this guy's library, and I found this record album by Jerry Falwell, How to Double Your Sunday School Attendance in 1 Year. A few minutes later, the pastor comes in. I said, would you mind putting this record on the record player? I'd like to hear this. I'm not a pastor, but I'd like to help our church grow. And he said, sure. So he puts it on, only puts it on the opposite side by accident. And on the back side, there was a sermon on discouragement. And it was like a word of knowledge, a word of the Lord, a direct rhema. Oh, I don't care whatever you call it. It was like God was speaking directly to me. Falwell said something I've never forgotten now, 40 years later. You do not determine a man's greatness by his talent or his wealth or his education, but you determine a man's greatness by what it takes to discourage him.